I'm addicted to baseball. I live it, I breathe it, I eat it. It's baseball, baseball, baseball. Every time you're in New York, there's always pressure. Pressure is a great opportunity to create something special. We don't have the luxury of like, I'm trying this new thing in 2 weeks, I haven't got a hit. You got to perform every day.
What's up, everybody, and welcome to another Boardroom cover story. For our April cover story, we have the honor to have an interview today with a very special guest, somebody that means a lot to me, being that I am a lifelong Met fan. So please welcome to the show, the New York Mets leadoff hitter, shortstop, all-star, and I say future MVP, my friend Francisco Lindor.
Thank you, brother. Thank you. I appreciate it.
What's up, man? Welcome to the show.
Thank you, brother. Thank you. Excited to be here.
Let's talk about New York right now. Obviously ending last season was exciting. I was at opening day and I could feel the excitement in the stadium. It was almost like a continuation of October. Do you feel this extra kind of sense of pressure maybe, or that the expectations have risen after you guys' performance last year?
I mean, every time you're in New York, there's always pressure. I love it. I think pressure is a great opportunity to create something special, So coming into this year, I mean, the pressure is that we got to win, but that was the same thing in 2021, 2022, 23, 24, now 25, it's just, we got to get it done. We have to, and we are all working towards that. And I feel like the city deserves it. The organization deserves it, and the players deserve it as well. So, but nothing's going to be given. We got to work for it.
So no added pressure?
Not really. At the end of the day, I got to go out there and get it done no matter what. Even if we win this year, there's still pressure. Like the Dodgers won last year, they still got pressure.
Yeah.
So it's just like every time you get put in a place to create something special, there's always going to be pressure.
But you guys clearly made noise in the offseason. When a player like Juan Soto comes into a lineup, is there an adjustment? I know in the NBA, even when there's a successful team, right? When you join a team and a superstar comes and joins a roster, there are certain things that you have to kind of account for and just a change in dynamic or chemistry. How has that been early? And what, as a leader of the team, do you try to take into account in that process?
Yeah, well, for a guy like Soto, it's all about making him feel comfortable, making him feel like this is also his team. Like he's gonna be here for a very long time. So you wanna get him to feel that he's part of everything we're trying to accomplish. And he's gonna help us accomplish the ultimate goal, which is winning. He's been fantastic. He's a guy that's been the same person from day one that he showed up in spring training to yesterday. And I'm sure he'll be the same person today. I appreciate the way he has gone about it. I appreciate that he's not trying to do anything extra. And he had obviously 1 year already in New York, so he kind of understands the land. He understands how this is, but you just got to make him feel like this is his home, because he truly is his house. He's going to be here for a very long time.
And you also obviously are only a few years from signing your contract. I'm sure there's information you could give him on just how to kind of block out that noise.
Yeah.
Knowing that this is a long time, you have a long time here. Have you felt that role as a leader grow over your last kind of few years here?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, Soto has done a fantastic job of not letting the contract get in his way as of right now. But the most important thing when you sign a contract like that is you can't make up all the expectations in 1 year. Yeah. It's going to be, you do it year after year after year after year, and eventually people are going to look back and say, it was worth it. But you can't go out, even if you win MVP your first season with the new contract, you got to still come back the next year and do it again.
Yeah.
So it's a lot about staying the course, taking it day by day, living in the moment, and not letting the outside noise get inside the house.
Yeah. Well, you know what? One thing Met fans will always love about him is that he left the Yankees.
I'm sure they love
He'll
that.
have that for the rest of his career.
Yeah.
And obviously, getting Pete Alonso back, I think as a Met fan, that was something from an emotional standpoint that everybody felt was really important. Did you feel the same? And did you feel that excitement once you guys finally figured that out?
Yeah, once he decided to sign with us, it lengthened our lineup. It's like to have a guy like him, he's a fantastic person and he's a great hitter. So when everything came down to his signing with the Mets, obviously from the outside looking in, it looks amazing because selfishly it makes the team better. So it's like, hell yeah, we continue our journey, we continue to grow. And then I'm sure from the Mets fans' point of view, he's a homegrown player, and Mets fans love homegrown players, and they embrace them like no others. And he's gonna be the home run leader in the franchise. So you have a guy that you drafted and he becomes their home run leader in the franchise. That don't happen too often.
When you think about your lineup, obviously now people see your lineup and it's as formidable as any lineup in the league. And then when you read the kind of analysis of the team, they talk about the pitching staff and how that's a concern. Is it a concern for you? Do you guys pay any attention to that?
Not for me, because I'm not a GM. I'm just a shortstop. No, but I feel like we have a really good pitching staff. It's just we don't have the big time names that other teams have. But I mean, Senga is an all-star. Manaya has been fantastic. Clay Holmes is an all-star, but now he's starting. We have other guys that are Peterson. He's up and coming. McGill up and coming. We have what it takes. We just don't have a lot of the track record that other teams have in their pitching staff and the big time names. But our pitchers have been fantastic. I mean, they were one of the reasons why we made it all the way last year.
Yeah. And honestly, there were times when the Mets had big names at 1 through 5 and we'd win 70 games. So, I think like you said, it's about having a deep bullpen, having a great pitching staff that's playing up. And I'm sure they hear the chatter too, which is
100%.
got to be motivating. I mentioned the crowd. It was pretty insane. And obviously when you come up to bat, that moment, that's become a real memorable moment, I think, having you come to bat, having the entire crowd sing My Girl. What was that playoff run like for you in terms of like moments in your life to see how electric the crowd became?
It was sick. So when you put a walk-up song, most of the guys, they put it because they're vibing to the song, they like the song, and they want the fans to engage with it. And when you can vibe to the song and the fans get behind it and you start winning, it's like, yeah, it feels good. It feels good. And last year during the playoffs, we had this fantastic aura, like the fans would bring it. It was just like, we're at home. We're not going to lose. It's like we have true home field advantage. Yes, that's well, where it's like the crowd, it's just like you got 40-some thousand people pulling in one direction, and then you have the players pulling the same direction as 40-some thousand people.
Yeah.
It's a strong force.
Without question. Growing up in New York, outside of, 1 or 2 years, it's been a Yankee town. But during the playoffs last year, I was really loud to anyone that would listen to me, telling me that I was feeling a shift. I was at Citi Field for all the games, first Dodgers, Phillies, and then I went to the World Series. Night and day. But did you feel that chatter and that idea that people were talking about you guys now as much, if not more, than they were talking about your crosstown rivals.
I feel like the atmosphere. I feel like Citi Field is becoming the place to be.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? Like it's so there's certain places around the league that there's a game, but it's more of an event. It's almost like basketball. Like when you go to a basketball game, there's a game, but it feels like an event. It feels like something special is happening, and that's kind of how it feels at Citi Field right now, and how it felt last year, where it was a baseball game, but it felt more than a baseball game. It felt like people were just like, it was the place to be.
Yeah.
And that's kind of how it feels this year. And I think that maybe that's why when you're experiencing and feeling the shift, maybe that's what you are feeling like. It's almost the place to be. If there's something happening and there's 5 things happening, which one are you gonna pick? Citi Field.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go to Citi Field. It's like,
Yeah, that's what happens when a team's in the playoffs in New York. In general, that becomes the talk of the town. But when the environment becomes almost like a music festival, which is what that felt like, it's where everyone wants to go. So then you have like novice fans that are just going to Citi Field because they don't want to miss the moment.
correct.
I think a lot of this has also obviously aligned with new ownership, right? And I've represented Kevin for almost his entire career, and I know the difference between having a great owner. You could feel it because there's no stone unturned, and changes to an in-game experience, to the accommodations, to the commitment to spending on players is obvious, and it can be motivating. And I know you have a good relationship with the whole family. Is that as good as it seems from the outside?
100%.
It is.
100%. It's something that that whole family is putting just as much energy and effort that the players are putting into it. So they want to make this place one of the craziest, best places in the league, in the world, and but they doing it step by step. They're not cutting steps, because when you start cutting steps, eventually it comes back to bite you.
Always, yeah.
So like they're doing it step by step. It's almost like they're learning, they're figuring things out, and they're doing it the right way. You have Alex taking care of the families. You have Steve overseeing pretty much everything. You have Josh, doing media and making sure like that Matt's name he continues to grow with the right people and alongside the right places. And then you have the front office that's putting the team on the field, and then you have the players that are just as excited as ownership and front office.
Yeah.
Being a Met, so it's a good thing. There's a good thing happening.
And they're lifelong Met fans.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, when they're fans of the organization and they have the willingness and the desire to improve the organization, magical things can happen.
Yeah.
And that's what they've been doing. They're from day one, they said that they were going to do certain things, and every year they have continued to do it.
Yeah.
Every year they put the same amount of effort, and I don't think it's gonna stop even when we win.
Yeah, you could tell. I mean, that man wants to win at all costs.
Yeah.
When you have a great year like you did last year and you go into the off season, do you have certain things that you go, okay, I want to improve upon this in my game, and that becomes the focus, obviously alongside the rest of your off season plan?
Yeah, it does. It's a blessing and a curse, because when you get so addicted to improving and getting better, sometimes you forget what you're doing right, and you're so caught up in doing and fixing what you weren't as good that it gets to a point where it's like, oh damn, I gotta go back to what I do right, and then build off that. So it's a fine balance. It's a fine line of, do I want to improve in what I did bad and sacrifice a little bit of the things that I did very good, or should I just continue to work at what I did very good and give a little bit more time on what I did bad?
Yeah.
And that's kind of how I went about it this offseason, where it's like the things I did a little bit bad, I just work at them, but get better at the things that I did really good.
And do you watch film of yourself
Every night. Every night. Yeah.
after every game?
After every game. Yeah. Yeah. Because I gotta see how they're pitching me. I gotta see what I'm doing. For me, I look at my mechanics. Are they in the right spot? Are they not in the right spot? Why did they break down, or why were they so good?
Yeah.
It's a lot of it comes with the mindset, but I just like seeing it. I like studying. I'm in school every time I'm at the field.
And do you have film on all the pitchers too, so you can watch their whole technique
Everything.
and their tells and stuff?
Everything. I have all the pictures. I have how they work, and then I try to study and figure out what the strategy is. If they're trying to go up, 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 down, or if they're trying to go in, away, are they pitching north, south, east, west.
That's amazing. And I think it's interesting about baseball, it's probably different than most other sports, is the amount of in-season adjustments that players make at times, like players actually making changes in their batting stance throughout the season. Is that something that's challenging as a player, or is that the type of thing that when you're slumping, or if a hitting coach kind of tips you off to something, then you are able to kind of make that shift during the season?
Yeah, so I guess it's like anything in life. When sometimes I have my hands here and I drop them a little bit, in my mind I feel like they went all the way down here. I look at the film and I'm like,
Little
half an
inch.
inch.
Yeah.
It's just like, but it felt good. So we play every day. So it's not like other sports where you have to wait 3 days to make the adjustment. We play every day. So you have the opportunity to try things out. What you can't fall into is changing every single day.
Yeah.
If you find something, stick to that, and just give it a week, give it 2 weeks. They say 21 days is what creates a habit.
Really?
The thing they say is 21 days you create a good habit, and it takes, I think, 1 day to break it. So it's like, don't go every other day trying new things. Just find something, stick to that, try it for a week and a week and a half. But it's all based results. So we don't have the luxury of like, trying this new thing and in 2 weeks I haven't got a hit.
Yeah.
You gotta perform every day.
How stressful is it throughout a 162 game season when you're going through a bit of a slump as a player?
When I was a younger player, it was very stressful. Sleepless nights. As I get older, I have learned to compartmentalize. I just find buckets of like, all right, I'm home. I'm with my girls now, with my son. Let me be a dad.
Yeah.
Where before it was just baseball. I couldn't fall asleep. I still have those nights, but it's less. The wear and tear in your body, that's when baseball becomes a little more tough.
Do you think and congratulations on the birth of your son, do you think having this part of your life now, married, 3 young kids, has been an incredible balance for you overall in your life?
I'm living the life I always wanted.
Yeah.
I tell people I'm peaking in life in a way, because like I got an amazing wife, I got 3 kids, I'm playing in amazing place. Every year is about winning, every day is about winning. So yes, I'm in a fantastic place right now. I think my girls and now my boy, they brought a fantastic balance. I'm addicted to baseball.
Yeah.
I live it, I breathe it, I eat it. It's baseball. So having a family of my own, it almost like helps me get away from baseball.
Yeah.
And my hope is my girls are into music, dancing, all the sports, so I can go outside of baseball and do other things with them. Otherwise, it'll be baseball.
Yeah. But you also have so many other interests, right? Like I would say that you're widely considered the most stylish guy in the league. You're somebody who, has such an incredible kind of relevance, or I'd say cultural relevance, that transcends the sport. How do you also add that level of a kind of focus, because those are things that are real for you and you've built a good business for yourself? How does that fit into a schedule as long as the baseball season?
Yeah, well, it almost become a lifestyle. It becomes part of who you are, and like going to other businesses. You hope that it's not disrupting the main thing that I do, which is baseball. So you got to incorporate into your lifestyle, make it part of your routines.
Yep.
Like for me, I love clothing. I love dressing up. I'm looking at different textures and pieces, and I send it to Alan, my style coach, and I just be like, "Hey, what you think about this? I'm seeing something like this," and then I want to go into the coffee area. So then everywhere I go, I look at the coffees and I ask questions about it. But it becomes part of, like, I'm always drinking coffee in the morning, so why not learn about it while I'm drinking it, Same thing with real estate. Everywhere I go, there's real estate. Life is a real estate. So I'm always like, all right, what's in here? I'll just go in the app and look it up and send it to the people that are helping with it, and just learn about it and figure out, how much it costs and why it costs that much, and just you almost make it part of your daily routines, make it part of your lifestyle.
What's a style coach?
It's the guy that helps me pick out my outfits and helps me understand silhouettes, textures, and he essentially helps me look clean.
Yeah, so it's almost like a level up from even just a stylist, because you're like, it's an education. It's like a whole understanding of something you love.
100%.
For me, like for some reason, like when I hear stylist, it rings like someone just bringing you clothes, and it's coaching is more about teaching. It's about showing you the way, seeing potential and showing people how they can improve in certain areas. And so I feel like, just like anything, this Francisco, the baseball player, he has a batting coach. Pitchers have pitching coaches. You have coaches in every stage of your life, and so the same thing in fashion. There's levels to everything. And what I love about working with Francisco is one, it's a collaboration. Like I said, it's always a conversation. It's never just, I bring something and it's like, this is it. It's always like, explain to me why you see this, and I explain to him why this works and how the different ways we can wear it. And then with Francisco, I like that it's not about just buying all the newest things. Like, he likes old things, likes vintage things. He's open to repeating his outfits. It's not about, having one piece and at every event is a new piece. If you pay attention to Francisco's style evolution through the years, we do a lot of remixing. That's what I think fashion is. Fashion isn't about it's not about brand, it's not about piece, it's about style.
I don't like going into things without understanding them, without living with no knowledge. If I'm gonna do it, I gotta learn about it. I wanna be a little bit more educated, and that way eventually I can just help others.
Yeah.
That's the hope. The hope is that in life you learn enough about something that you can pass it on with my kids or my kids' friends or a teammate, and just because I feel like we don't get to where we are without mentors. We always look up to somebody. We always say, okay, I want to get there. We always have a north, and I'm sure I'm the north for other people, and I'm sure it'll be like that hopefully for the rest of my life. And some people are going to get close to me, and then I'll just teach him, and they'll be the north for somebody else.
And then you mentioned coffee and real estate. Very interesting. When you start to learn what it is that you love about coffee, I think it's fascinating. It's the way people that drink wine that want to make that a hobby of theirs. But is coffee and real estate then things that you say, okay, I've learned about this. How do I make this part of my portfolio? How do I make this part of my business? And then to that point, in the NBA especially, I would say, but it's starting to obviously infiltrate other sports, there's this almost pressure now that young players feel that it has to be a focus at business and building what it is that's like the enterprise around you, which I think every player at every level has the potential to do and should explore if they want to. Is it chatter in the clubhouse about business now more so than earlier in your career? Has it become part of what baseball is?
Well, you talk about it, but it's not. It hasn't become the thing. It hasn't got there. Like, I think fashion is trickling down into baseball a little bit more now. It's one of those where guys are. There's more talks about outfits, and I think there is talks about among business, like about businesses, but it's only the older players.
Yeah.
I think in a few years it's gonna be like, now there's more players.
Yeah.
Talking about it. It's the talk in the clubhouse. It's not just let's just talk about this pitcher.
Yeah.
It's let's talk about this pitcher. Okay, now we got time. Let's talk about, hey, what do you do off the field? And our our life is so known out there, so publicly known, that we should break up the stereotype of not talking about our personal lives. Ever since I met my wife and got kids, I don't mind sharing, my life with my teammates. Like, man, last night I didn't really sleep, or like last night I went out with my wife. We had found this fantastic restaurant. I think you should hit it up. It's just, and I think it's comes with age, but I wish I would have done that a little earlier in my career.
But you're young still, and it's probably almost a blessing, right, that you were so laser focused earlier in your career, and now you're able to, like you said, compartmentalize different things. I said a second ago about like how I see it and see you as probably the most culturally relevant player in baseball, and it has to do with how you carry yourself, how you dress, how you kind of talk about the things that are important to you, and then also I just think that there's always an intangible, right? And when you look at other sports, the ones that have that, just have it. And in baseball, I think there's been a lacking of that for a while. Like, I work closely with Major League Baseball, and I think they can feel the moment right now for the sport, but there's still like a long way to go for that to kind of cross over the way the NBA culture has forever. And, the NFL is a different animal. What do you think the sport can do? You obviously being a big part of it, but what can the sport do to kind of continue to grow that cultural relevance?
In basketball, there's less players. And most of the time, you can correct me if I'm wrong, I'm not crazy familiar with the sport, but most of the players are there for a couple of years together.
Yeah.
So it's like a little cloud that goes everywhere. In baseball, it's like a lot of transactions, up and down, up and down. Players come from different places, and in baseball there's a lot of different culture. I think it's a little bit more diverse in baseball than it is in basketball, football, and any other sport. You have the language barrier as well. So I think the most important thing that baseball can do is to educate their players, to help them, put them in places where they can get a little bit of information, and so they can also touch. Sometimes things seem so far-fetched in life that you don't think you can do it. We have a lot of athletes have been trained to, like, the sport that you're in. Do it, and then other things seems a little bit far-fetched. And so by getting the education and like just being exposed to other different things, it might help them feel like they can touch it in a little bit more achievable.
I think that's a great point. The access and just the idea that it's possible, right, comes from being in the room with certain people and listening and being curious. There was a team in 1986 in New York. The Mets were about as culturally relevant, and it's been almost 40 years and people still talk about that team. Do you, like, as a Met, do you still hear about that era and
They're
that team?
around.
Yeah, they're
They come
around.
around. They come around. You have the Daryl Strawberry. You have that group.
Yeah, I saw Doc yesterday.
Yeah, they come around and you see them and you feel their presence.
Yeah.
And then as a fashion person, somebody that likes dressing up and likes bringing different eras and culture together. You look at their style, you look at how they dress, and it's like, damn, I want to do that. I might incorporate that. And
That's dope.
it's you bridging the gap, and I told them, I tell players that play before me, they set the path for me.
Yeah.
They did it. I'm not trying to do anything different. I'm just, whatever they did, I'm gonna follow it, and just at the end of the year, I'll have a good season, and at the end of my career, I'll have a good career. But it's already there, like it's very few guys. Like Ohtani might be the only one that has a different path than everybody else. It's like you don't see what Ohtani's doing.
Do his peers think he is that incredible?
He is. I mean, he's elite at pitching, elite at hitting, and elite at running. So it's like, all right, you find the most elite runner and he can match up. You find the most elite hitter and he can match up. And you find the most elite pitcher and he can match up, it's fantastic. It's great to watch. With that being said, we play in a sport that any given day you can beat anybody. So,
well, speaking of that, the Dodgers, I just saw Bryce Harper the other day talk about how, anyone that complains about the Dodgers and their quote unquote super team are losers. I would assume, obviously, what they did doesn't bother you. You like the challenge. But when you watch it from the outside, like, what do you see? Like, is it just they have no holes, but you still got to go and line up and you got to compete?
I mean, we all got holes. We all have weaknesses. My dad always tell me, baseball, the ball is round and it comes in a square box. Doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense, but it still happens. So at the end of the day, the Dodgers are doing what's best for the organization. The Mets are doing what's best for the organization. Philly's doing what's best for their organization. Teams that are not doing what's best for them, that's their problem. I'm worried about what we have here. I appreciate what the Dodgers are doing. They won, they're not satisfied, and they want to continue to put the best products on the field. And I'm sure the Mets are going to do the same thing, and Phillies and Yankees, I feel like they improved their team as well. And there's a lot of teams, the league got tougher. The teams improved themselves, and that's good. That's what you want.
Yeah, I agree. And honestly, from experience, super teams or whatever that means, it doesn't always work. It's chemistry and it's timing and there's luck involved. And, I imagine nobody in your position, right, sees them as unbeatable. That's not how you approach anything.
Not at all. I mean, they still got to play the game, and so do we.
Yeah.
I've been in really good teams that sucked. I'm being in bad teams that were great.
Yeah.
So yeah, at the end of the day, it's one of those where you got to go out and show up and post up, and we'll see what happens.
You almost won a World Series in Cleveland. Last year was a special year.
Yeah.
Is that what motivates you? Is it just one of those things where, like, you're not going to let yourself not win one in your career?
100%. 100%. I'm going all the way until I win one, and then when I win one, enjoy it, have a couple of glasses of wine, and say, all right, to the side, let's go into the next, and that's what real competitors do. They accomplish something, and then they go on to the next season, because nobody cares about what you did the year before. I won it. I'm in a great spot to get it. And I feel like winning with this organization is going to be something that will last forever, for sure.
Well, congratulations again on your family growing. Good luck this year, man. I'm going to be at as many games as I can. And if we do win it, I'll have a glass of wine with you, or two, or three, or four as well, my friend.
Hell yeah.
This has been Boardroom's April cover story with the one and only Francisco Lindor. Go to boardroom.tv, download, watch, subscribe. See y'all soon. Peace.